sky waking soft and wide, clouds asleep on the mountainside. Morning rolls where the cool winds blow, over the hills where I love to go. I climbed up high in the break of day, where the night was fading slow away, and the ridges rose like a family line, one behind another through the pale sunrise. Fog lay low in the valleys deep, like the earth itself was still asleep, and the whole wide world felt hushed and true, washed in silver light and mountain blue. Blue morning on the ridge, wind singing through the pines, clouds drifting in the hollows, peace settling in my mind. Blue morning on the ridge, Lord, what a sight to see, when the mountains wear the daylight, they bring my soul back home to me. Far below where the shadows bend runs an old road round the mountain end, and I thought about the years gone by, how they passed like clouds through an open sky. Every trouble I'd brought along seemed smaller there, seemed less than strong, for the hills have a way of making plain what's worth the sunshine, what's just a rain. Blue morning on the ridge, wind singing through the pines, clouds drifting in the hollows, peace settling in my mind. Blue morning on the ridge, Lord, what a sight to see, when the mountains wear the daylight, they bring my soul back home to me. I don't need a city skyline, I don't need a neon glow. Give me rolling Appalachian lines and the quiet only mountains know. Let the world keep rushing onward, let it chase what it believes. I'll take one more dawn in the highlands, with the sun sifting through the trees. There's a kind of truth in the mountain air, mercy moving everywhere, in the layered blue and the drifting white, in the way the dark gives up to light. And if I ever lose my way, or forget what matters in the day, I'll remember how those ridges stood still and strong and calm and good. Blue morning on the ridge, wind singing through the pines, clouds drifting in the hollows, peace settling in my mind. Blue morning on the ridge, Lord, what a sight to see, when the mountains wear the daylight, they bring my soul back home to me. Blue sky waking soft and wide, clouds asleep on the mountainside. Morning rolls where the cool winds blow, over the hills where I love to go.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Turn that down. Put a little background music in there. How's everybody doing this evening? Go ahead and send me a chat and let me know what's going on in your world. You don't have to be from Rabun County to jump in. You could be from anywhere. This is just something I put together. to try and form a community of like-minded people. But good evening, friends and neighbors. Well, I'll tell you right now, sometimes you eat the bear, and sometimes the bear eats you. And this week, I believe the bear may be ahead on points. Between the cool nights, the hungry deer, lack of rain, my garden has really taken a hit. I've already figured out I'm going to spend a good portion of this month replanting things. I was hoping I'd already be thriving by now. But I suppose that's part of it too. Gardening has a way of humbling you. I walked out there today. Now I got a few tomato plants out there, maybe 20 or so that are doing all right. And yesterday I spent some time starting some new seed sets, and I got out there, and the soil I think is still just a little too cool for the pumpkins and the melons and the squash and the cucumber. I had some, boy, they were looking good, but those cool nights a few nights back got them real good. And you could tell the deer have been nibbling at the tops of the corn, but hell, I don't blame them. They're probably hungry. But anyway, gardening has a way of humbling you. You can prepare the soil, you can watch the weather, you can plant carefully and do everything right, and nature still reminds you who's actually in charge. And speaking of bears, man, I got one young fella creeping around the house lately, upsetting the bird feeders and peeking toward the windows, acting half curious and half confused. Looks like he might be his first year away from his mother. Most bears, after a couple of loud conversation, a little persuasion, decide to move along. Yeah, not this hard-headed rascal. He keeps hanging around. He just keeps coming back like he's trying to figure out life's one bird feeder at a time. And honestly, there's probably a lesson in that somewhere too. Meanwhile, spring keeps unfolding beautifully here in the northeast Georgia mountains. The rhododendron is still exploding across the hillsides. Wildflowers are everywhere. I won't even cut my grass. I got that old woods grass with the little small wildflowers in it, and I got a bunch of dandelions in some poor soil on one side of the yard. And my wife, she says, "You gonna cut that toss?" I said, "Nope." And then I sent her a little thing on, I guess it was YouTube or something, that talked about how deep those tap roots go on a dandelion. Those things go down 10, 12, 15 feet, and they're down there pulling up all those nutrients from way down in the soil there. And it's not much soil on that side of the yard. I think they graded it with gravel. But anyway, I've been working on the lawn around here for 10 years now, and I don't believe in using a lot of fertilizer. I just don't do that. But anyway, back to the beautiful wildflowers are everywhere. Every stream, ridge, and valley just seems to be painted with color. I go for a walk 3 days a week, and I'm just constantly amazed at the flora that is coming up. The trillium, the ferns, the wildflowers of all kinds of makes, and the blooming of the rhododendron. And I think the wild azalea, those are beautiful. That kind of a pinkish orange color. You can see them off in the woods there as you're walking. You can see them out there. They're tall and lanky, but they still put on a beautiful show with those. I don't know what color that is. Salmon, kind of a salmon color, But I love seeing those things out there. I thought I had some pictures of them somewhere today. I was going through all my pictures, and I'm not very good at filing them. I tried to keep all the landscape in one folder and all the florals in one folder, but then woo, I loaded them down a little deeper. The files went a little deeper, and I hadn't found them yet. I've been thinking about putting together a montage, and I still got 500 pictures on the camera I hadn't downloaded yet and sorted through them. I figure one of these days I'll get too old to get out there and walk, and I can take and learn Photoshop a little better and do some work with all those shots that I've taken over the years. But anyway, before we get any further down the highway here, let's remember why we gather. We're a community of like-minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. We also come here to exchange ideas, resources, and information in and about the community. And tonight, I'd like to put a little speech in here about persistence, because spring has a way of teaching that lesson whether we ask for it or not. I got a little side note here about Facebook. You know, I peruse the local Facebook pages to find information I can incorporate into the show, but it seems to be a constant pissing match. You know, someone makes a comment. One of them was about a data center, and someone else will make a dumb and hurtful comment purposely to try and cause trouble, just to instigate an argument. That's too bad. What a shame. That's one of the reasons I wanted to start this thing, so that we could get on here and actually have conversations about our community. And I'll regulate it. I won't let anybody make any knuckleheaded comments. They could put them in the comment. But, you know, I was told as a young man, you just ignore rude people. You just overlook them, and they'll finally fade away, just like some of the craziness that's been going on in the country over the past few years. You just start ignoring it, and, you know, kind of when they say something dumb, and walk away, and just leave them alone, and they'll go away. They will go away. But anyway, let's go ahead and start talking. It's the last call for gobblers. Turkey season closes tomorrow. I have Saturday here, but it actually closes tomorrow. Dark tomorrow. Turkey season is done. If you're still chasing those gobblers, I hope the woods rewards you and your effort before the curtain closes on another spring season. Now, those late season birds right now are quieter. Somebody said they saw some hens with some baby ones, and I'd like to see some of those around here. I had a couple hens wandering around. I hadn't seen them in a while. They were even one day out there in the front yard. I need to get out there with the old turkey call and just see if I can gobble them and see if they'll come poking around. But anyway, I'd love to see some turkey chicks. What do they call them turkey chicks? Anybody know? If you know what they call baby turkeys, send me a chat. Let me know. Put something in the comments. I'd like to know. Now, if you're experiencing buffering right now, I'm sorry. I'm on the Starlink, and certain times during the day, it just gets a little slow, my connection between here and YouTube. So I apologize. I'm doing the best I can. Thank you, Starlink. Thank you, Elon Musk, for being the man you are, trying to provide a service. I am light years ahead of where I was using services that I shall not name. This would be impossible using any of those other services. But anyway, those late season turkeys are quieter, more cautious, and they've been pressured. They've been hunted. So But there's still opportunities for hunters willing to stay patient, move carefully, and hunt later into the morning. Some late season tactics for tomorrow: hunt shady hardwood ridges, focus on travel corridors near feeding areas, use soft yelps and clucks, let the woods settle before calling again. That little old gal, she was so funny. She says, turkey season's a lot, Tom's is a lot like boys. She says, if you don't call them, they won't come. And if you call them too much, they'll ignore you. And if you call them and they don't answer, they're with another girl. She tickled the devil out of me with saying that. But anyway, anywho, here in Rabun County, make sure you focus on those creek bottoms and old logging roads. You know, that's one thing we talk about, these creek bottoms. I've been developing a small low section at the bottom of the yard to be a catch basin to catch all the rain, and try and put in a little small pond down there, maybe 400 or 500 gallon pond at the bottom for the wildlife. And that just mean more of them in my darn garden, but that's all right. But creek bottoms, old logging roads, open benches along ridges can still hold birds moving quietly through the mountains. The late season, it rewards discipline more than excitement. So keep on going. All right. Well, now that turkey season's closing off, I guess we need to start thinking ahead to what's coming up in the future as far as hunting goes. I guess now we'll start our summer scouting and food plot preparation, mineral sites where legal, do maintenance on your stand and work on the habitat. Now is one of the best times of the year to identify deer bedding patterns, improve shooting lanes, repair stands, and study game movement while vegetation is still manageable. And honestly, successful fall hunting begins right now in May. So I guess we need, if you're a hunter and you're coming out of turkey season, I'm sure you've made some observations where you're hunting at right now to start prepping for the upcoming deer season. Now, fishing's been pretty good from what I understand. I've not done much of it, but seems to be pretty strong despite the dry conditions. We had a little rain, was it last week or the week before? Got a couple inches, but we're in a rainforest. We're supposed to be getting a whole lot more than what we're getting. But the trout are still active in the morning. And I'm standing on the back porch, and there's a creek. I think it's Toccoa Creek down at the bottom of the hill. And I could see some of them flies coming up this high. I'm not that far off of it. It's it's probably 150 feet in elevation difference. But I'm seeing a lot of bugs in the air right now, dry fly activity. And when I take my walks, I see them popping off before the day gets too warm. I'm walking early in the morning. Early in the morning. I'm normally on the trail by 7. I try and get wrapped up by 8 because I want to get home and take care of things that I've got planned around here. Tomorrow's no different. And I'll be out here by 6, take off some trash, probably go for about a 2-mile hike and be back here, cut the grass tomorrow. Going to be putting in some transplanting some tomatoes. I got to transplant some mums, cut the grass, and I may get out there and start sowing seeds. It's going to get kind of cool tonight, but I think the trend is warming thereafter. Back to the fishing. Bass post-spawn activity beginning in many of the waters, and fish are transitioning toward points, submerged structure, and deeper edges during warm afternoons. I seen a pod of yearling bass the other day. They were swimming past a drainage culvert, emptying into a lake, and they were swimming by, and I was like, wow, look at all them dudes. They look like they's having a party. I guess they's perusing the perimeter of the lake looking for them little brim fry, trying to get them brim because they're on nest real heavy right now, and you can smell that old musty smell, and you know they're there, and you can see that old guard fish on top of it. He won't leave. But I hadn't fished for those little things. I know they're easy to catch. If I were hungry, I'd be catching them. But right now, I'm just doing excuse me. All right, now I'm just doing observations. I really like observing wildlife. But anyway, warm season prep for spring fishing. This season, this time of year rewards adaptability. Fish move and the weather shifts. You know, it gets real warm in the day and it gets into the 40s in the nighttime. And successful outdoorsmen adapt with it instead of fighting it. Some of the current tips that guys are telling me: fish moving water where oxygen remains high. That's especially good for the trout. And early morning is still best for many species. Watch the water temperatures. Of course, in my old streams, I don't think they ever get above about 55. Water is always cold to me. But make sure you're still getting ready, prepping and checking the boat trailers. Check those wheel bearings. You know, they're in the water and you'll wash out the grease. You don't want to. You see it all the time going down the highway. Some old boy pulling his boat for 3 or 4 years and ain't greased the wheel bearings, and he burn up an axle and throw the bearing, and sometimes they lose a wheel and just ruin a trailer. But take the time, organize your tackle, go through your fly box. I hadn't even taken the darn flies out of the house yet. They're dry flies. These are all dry. No, there's a couple nymphs in there, but most of them are dry flies with strike indicators. I need to get out there and do some fishing, man. I tell you what, I just need to say enough, quit. You know, old Neil in the morning there on WSB, I forget his first name, old Neil in the morning. He says, if you're too busy to fish, you're just too daggum busy. And you know what? I'm starting to agree with him. Man, and I'm semi-retired too. Yeah, here's something that's interesting. And that's just an observation on my behalf. Strange. You know, I've complained several times on this live stream that the daggum spam calls and texts just enough to drive you crazy. But during this election season, they have really dropped off and being replaced by them darn politicians. I swear everybody in the state of Georgia, and I got the ballot right here. All these pages of people, and I guarantee you every one of them has bought my darn email and phone number from somebody, and they are constantly sending me something. I'm getting 10 text messages and a multitude of phone calls from these darn politicians every day. Now, I still got some business stuff to do, and I may get a call from an unknown client, and I answer most of my calls, and dadgummit. And I'm beginning to believe they in cahoots with one another. And the politicians say, all right, now, we let y'all make all these daggum phone calls trying to rip off old folks and shit, but during election season, you got to back off. We need the bandwidth to get our campaign messages out there. If you agree with that, send me a chat. If you think about that, does that make sense to you, or am I out of line here? Let me know. But anyway, what was we talking about? Oh yeah, getting ready for the fishing season. Organize your tackle. That's how we got down. I don't know how we got down there. You know what? I was sitting here talking to you, and the darn phone was going beep beep bleep, and it's telling me somebody else has done called me or sent me something, want me to give them my vote. Well, boys, you election officials, I have been going through the list. And I've been doing my research, and I'm going to take my ballot to the poll, and I'm going to go wait in line on Tuesday because I want to see what the turnout looks like. And I like to stand there and say, yep, I know which party he's voting in. Yeah, I know who they're voting for. I can see it a mile away. But, and I may be wrong, but I don't care. It's still fun, and I can do that. This is America. I can make a judgment. I can't, what do you call it? I can't say nothing ugly. Well, I can say something ugly to somebody if I want to, but I'm not going to, because then again, that's my freedom and right not to be ugly. But I can sure stand there and make a judgment on somebody by their behavior and see if I can figure out how I don't want to act. But anyway, make sure you replace that line. And I've said that every week for the past 3 weeks now. Make sure you replace that line. And I ain't even done it myself yet. I'm just reading off a script of things that I need to do. I'm just sharing it with you. But anyway, maybe you'll pop in and see this thing on a replay, and you can send me a comment. I'd like to see somebody come in here now, but you know, this is, everybody's busy. It's 6 o'clock. They're probably not even home yet. A lot of you have to travel hour and a half to work. And when you get home, you ain't interested in watching something on the YouTube. You got dinner to make. You got clothes to wash. You got grass to cut. You got children to take care of. You got all kinds of things going on. You might, once you get the children in bed about 9:30, you might be able to watch a little bit of YouTube. But I'm going to stick to this schedule just to get the practice in. And when people start looking at it on the rerun or whatever, and they start making suggestions about a better time, and if there's a whole slew of people say, hey, man, you know, this time might be good, then I would certainly consider changing the time. But until that point, I'm going to keep it from the 6 to 7 hour. I like it. I can still get to bed at a decent hour, and I'm going to leave it there till we come to a different conclusion. But it takes input from others. I don't mind sitting here talking to myself at all. Because, you know, a lot of my business is I have to speak in front of people and keep the old voice tuned up. I have to have a certain amount of gift of gab in my work experiences. So this allows me to keep the old voice. I do, usually you can tell I get up at 4:30 every morning. I do 2 hours of live stream every week, just to keep my voice tuned up. And I do safety videos, and I do, philosophy and motivational stuff to share with people. I probably got about 800 regular followers. I ain't made that 1,000 mark yet, but I ain't worried about it. What I'm doing, I do because I like doing it. I don't have nothing better to do. It keeps mind active, keeps my voice strong, and I kind of have fun with it most of the time. Anyway, make sure you're replacing that wheat line now and not later, because summer arrives fast enough once the mountains fully green up. And boy, me and the wife talking about it the other day. It is really greening up around here. It is really greening up. Interesting stuff. Anyway, Send me a chat. Let me know you're watching. I'm interested. Give me a subject to talk about. I saw something on the Facebook. I told you about that. Darn old people get in there and get a pissing match going. And one old fella says, I can get on here and just piss y'all off without any trouble. And I said, my comment, and I rarely comment, and I just wrote, why? He didn't answer. A whole bunch of people say, oh, he's just this and he's just that. And I said, that still don't answer the question. Why? What makes you want to do that? I don't understand it. I guess you just got to have some, maybe he don't feel good, and maybe that's the way I don't know. Maybe he was raised that way. Maybe he was raised people talking. Everybody talks shit to him. Now he thinks as being a grown man, he ought to talk shit to everybody. That makes him a big boy in the neighborhood. I don't know. Hell, I don't understand what I'm doing half the time. Why? I don't need to put much effort. I know it is distracting when you're trying to have a conversation about community events, but they was talking about a darn data center here in the mountains of northeast Georgia. And I was like, why would you want to do that? They said, well, you got that big old factory over there. I said, well, hell, they ought to go to making blue jeans and shirts and underwear and boots. That's what we need. How about some American-made stuff, cotton grown in Georgia and labor from Rabun County and leather from the United States and all that stuff. Why don't we do that instead of shipping that stuff from overseas? Wouldn't have to pay the shipping cost. I cannot believe that they can make a pair of jeans or a shirt or underwear or socks or boots or whatever overseas somewhere, and then put it on a boat and then sail it across the oceans and then get it into a port and then break it down and ship it to distribution centers all over the country and then send it out to the retail fronts and still sell it cheaper than we can make here in America. Man, I tell you what, it makes me wonder really what we're doing. Are we, and you hear about it all the time, paying poor kids to make iPhones or whatever. That's insane. And then on this side of the ocean, ain't nobody got a job. You keep them doped up on fentanyl and Xanax and everything else that the doctors are giving out like candy. Keep them doped up and living in a darn single wide on the side of a hillside without any opportunity. And they say, well, that data center will bring in a lot of jobs. Yeah, for about 2 years while they're building the blasted thing. Then it don't take but about 8 dudes to run the thing. And it's sucking energy out the Yahoo and draining the rivers to keep the place cool. I don't understand none of it. I just want to stay right here where I'm at and plant my garden and go fishing every now and then. I don't want all that stuff crowding me out, man. Make me move into some unknown parts. I'm a Georgia boy, dadgummit. I've been raised here. My grandpappy was raised here. My great-grandpappy was raised here, and I don't want to go nowhere else. But dadgummit, Georgia, if you don't quit, I think they should take that federal government business out of the Capitol down there and pluck it out and send them people packing. We don't need that money down here. That's the craziest thing, too. They got everybody paying these federal income taxes, and then it goes up there to Washington, D.C., and exchanges hands through all types of agencies, and then they dole it back out, and whoever gets up there and makes the most noise, they keep them quiet by sending them a little money. Man, what the heck are y'all doing? We don't need the federal government is bad news. They's only supposed to do 2 things: provide for the common defense and something else too. I don't even remember what it is, but they supposed to provide for the common defense and secure the Constitution. That's it. You ain't supposed to collect no darn taxes. That's a state function. Let the states take care of their own self. Matter of fact, with what's coming up in New York, I say y'all quit. Don't take no more federal tax money from the state of New York. Everybody in New York keep their own federal tax money. Now, if the state of New York wants to rob them, fine and dandy. But I'm afraid they find out in a big hurry the state of New York ain't got enough money in it to support that stuff that's going on up there. Same way with California. They talking about they got the 7th largest economy in the world. I tell you what, we'll quit sending you that we'll stop collecting federal money. And if you want something, you get it from your internal resources. Just go ahead, tax your people whatever you think you need to tax, but quit taxing me here in Georgia and then turn around and send it into Washington, pass it through different federal agencies, everybody getting a cut, everybody sending it to some NGO or someone else, and then paying all them federal employees, and then it's already a net loss by the time it's sent to anybody who might need the money, and then they really don't need it. They just got enough power to go out there and raise nations to get it. I don't know. Y'all tell me. I'm confoozled. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. I'm a safety guy now, and we talked about fishing and hunting so far, but let's have a quick reminder. These young bears, they're unpredictable. This time of year, first-year bears or second-year bears are being separated from their mothers, and they often wander further. Their mama runs them off. And then there's the bigger bears, the big daddy bears they got to compete with. They get run off that way. So, they're testing boundaries, and they're looking for their own place in the world, so to say. So they're wandering around, and they may come into your property. And they get, like I told my wife the other evening, I said, hunger will overcome fear, and they become bolder around homes and bird feeders. They're hungry, and the hungrier they are, the more fearless they become, and that's when you got to be careful. Now, most of them are pretty skittish, and you could probably run them off, and I have a little old BB gun, a Red Ryder, and I'll shoot them on the butt. And if they're out there in the yard, I'll yell at them and make noise and shoot them in the butt with that Red Ryder and give them a bee sting, and they'll run off. And that's associating. I'm probably going to get in trouble with some kind of State Department or federal telling me what I'm doing is wrong. But I don't care. Y'all come see me. We'll talk about it. Anyway. And, I guess I'll make this kind of indelicate statement. I pee in the yard. I'll walk around and pee in the yard at the tree line. I'll pee around the house. I'll just pee. And not that anybody else is going to smell it. The wife and friends and the preacher can't smell it. But the bear and the dog can smell it. And they know that somebody's around here. And if I can associate that smell with me yelling and a bee sting on the butt, that puts something in their psyche that, no, I don't want to be around that place. That's too much trouble around there. I don't want no part of it. But that's what I do. But other safety reminders, one got in the daughters and son-in-law's garbage the other day. They left their garbage out, and darn thing got into it. We can't leave garbage out around here. We learned that about our first month up here. Me out there in the woods picking up trash, where hell, they just drag it out there in the woods, and you got trash all in the woods, and my big old butt out there bending over picking that stuff up. Anyway, but remove the attractants if possible. My wife's talking about maybe I should start bringing them bird feeders. You got hummingbird feeders, ain't nothing but sugar water, And we've had raccoons out there and everything else. And she feeds the cats. I call them Democrats, Democats. But now, don't corner these animals. Don't a bear, a raccoon. Don't corner them. Make sure you can leave them out and don't approach them. You can make noise and make yourself look big, and they'll normally run off. But and make sure you make noise when you go outside at dawn or dusk. Make sure you secure the trash and the feeders if necessary. And when you're out, and another thing, safety here is tick activity is increasing rapidly. And this warmer weather, hydration becomes critical. Make sure you got some water with you. I keep bottles of water in my pickup truck. I just refill them out of the well. I don't buy that old darn bottled water. It's the same. I was a truck driver one time, and they sent me after a truckload of bottled water. Okay, I'll go to it. And I'm thinking I'm going to a factory somewhere. Anyway, go way down out in the country, and roads getting smaller and smaller. And then there's a sign that says such and such water, and it's a dirt road. And I go out there, and all of a sudden I'm in the middle of a cow pasture. And it's about a 10,000 square foot metal building out there that had a pump and 2 or 3 folks in there filling water bottles. I said, okay, all right, I'm cool with that. So I just drink water out of the well. It can't be any worse than drinking out of a well in a cow pasture. Mine comes out of a limestone and everything else up here in the mountains. I think that well's 600 feet deep. Anyway, another time, I was a truck driver for a grocery store chain. And so I'm in there, and I got my I had to go in and get my bill of lading. I'd already hooked up to the trailer and knew where I was going, and I had to walk into the warehouse and get my bill of lading so I would know what store got what stuff. And there's a Folgers truck parked out in the dock. I said, oh, I'm getting a load of Folgers coffee in. And so I walked in the building, and lo and behold, they were unloading the store brand right out of that Folgers truck. I got to go, And I asked the question, oh, yeah, Folgers makes all our coffee. I said, now, wait a minute. Let me see if I understand this. Folgers, to say back then, was $5 for a pound of coffee, and the store brand was $3 for a pound of coffee, and it came from the same place. It's all about the marketing, boys and girls. That's all that is. Coffee is coffee, and now I buy chock full of nut. Whatever's cheap on the shelf, I'm buying. Coffee is coffee. Do your research. Buy that old Starbucks coffee or Dunkin' Donuts coffee and pay 3 times as much for it. What kind of darn fool? I buy a pound of coffee, and man, I drink coffee for a solid month every day. And these people go spend $4 or $5 every day for coffee. That's crazy. But anyway, hydration. Make sure you stay hydrated. And afternoon storms can develop more frequently, and they can come up in a hurry, especially here in the mountains. You get a cold front coming out of the north and a warm front pushing out of the south, and you're right here on the mountains where they collide at a good elevation. All of a sudden, you got a pop-up thunderstorm, and you got to be careful. the beautiful weather, it can sure make people careless. So stay aware. All right, we got 640. Man, I've been talking for 40 minutes. Well, I ain't had a viewer yet. I ought to be mad. I ain't. I've been doing this for dang near a year now, once a week. But I think I'm getting better. Anyway, let's talk about the weather and seasonal outlook, and we're still waiting on the rain. The weather's been almost picture perfect, but it's been dry. Current outlook looks for warm afternoons. Boy, it was windy today, and I don't think it got to 70. I'm at 2,200 feet. With cool nights, I think it's getting down in the lower 40s tonight. I guess some people are out there covering it up, but looks like I done lost some squash and pumpkins. Them old tender leaves, boy, they don't like that old cool weather. Anyway, I got a pocket full of seeds I'm going to put back out there probably tomorrow, our first of the week. But we got some increased chance of rain coming up. Let me look at that. I looked at it earlier, and I think next week, let's see, 10 days. Yeah, Wednesday. Looks like about a 50% chance of storms. 50% chance of storms on Thursday. 70% chance rain on Friday. 60% chance rain on Saturday. So if I'm going to get them seeds out, I guess I need to go ahead and do it. Wife says, I need to water the garden. I said, no. I said, I got it mulched. You go out there and dig it, and it's wet. It's moist. You ain't got to worry about it. Mulching is one of the best things you can do for your garden. I got about 5 or 6 young pokeweeds out there in the garden. I'm sitting there thinking, well, should I leave them for emergency rations? Or should I go ahead and dig them out? I will leave one in the corner of the garden or something like that as a purely ornamental thing. But those that are in the garden, I'm afraid they'll shade my maters, so I'll go ahead and get them out. But anyway, most gardeners around Rabun County are watching the sky a little more carefully right now than they were 2 weeks ago. The mountains are green, but the soil is beginning to ask for help. All right, time to think about the garden. Replanting is part of gardening. Well, sometimes replanting is simply part of gardening. That's where I find myself this week. Going to have to go out there, and I put a few starts out there, some herbs and some tomatoes and a couple other things I put in the seed tray out there. I'm going to let them start in the seed tray, but as far as the melons and the squashes and the cucumbers, I'm going to plant them directly. I might as well just have just as much luck. And anyway, that's what I'm going to do. But right now, I'd wait for a day or two, maybe, because I think it's supposed to get in the 40s tonight. But replant weaker, damaged starts. I'm just going straight to seed. Mulch heavily. I've got plenty of mulch out there. Water deeply instead of lightly. I see so many people out there just waving the wand around and giving them a little bit of water. That ain't going to do nothing. It'll evaporate right off. You got to give them real deep. And I walk out there, and a few corn plants I got, you can see the darn heart in the middle of them eat out with them deer. They like them old tender leaves. I don't guess I blame them. But they're eating the top side of the corn. I don't know if they'll make it, but I plan on planting some more. Maybe the natural food sources will come in. You know, I try to keep them old collard greens, and I got some kale. Now, I wonder if kale, y'all send me a text. Will kale do all right in partial shade, or does it need heavy sun? I got about a pound of kale seed. I can go out there, and I got a low spot down there, and the soil's not that good. I wonder if old kale would take up in that. I can go down there and try it. I'm going to put a little up at the top, little Now my flower beds are looking pretty good, but I'll take some of them kale seeds up into the meadow up there. I've got a little, I guess, maybe 4x8 bed or 5x8 bed or something like that. And I'll go ahead and I've got it tilled up. I'll just go up there and throw some kale seeds in that and rake them in. But you ought to be putting in your tomatoes and beans, peppers, squash, and cucumbers. All of them need consistency right now. And there's one thing that garden teaches every year. Success usually belongs to the people willing to start again after disappointment. All right. Springtime in the mountains. Got a few happenings going around there. Toluta Gorge has always got something going on, from ranger-led hikes to waterfall viewing programs. Educational nature walks continue throughout May. So check them out. See what they got going. And don't forget the Clayton Flea Market and Farmers Market. The Clayton Farmers Market continues Saturdays from April through October, and the Raven Gap Flea Market remains open weekends just south of Dillard. Regional mountain farmers markets continue opening across North Georgia. I guess they getting their vegetables from somewhere other than here. I was out in the Woolfolk Valley the other day. They just getting ready to plant. I ought to be paying attention to them boys out there in the Woolfolk Valley instead of trying to read a darn farmer's almanac and all that crazy stuff. And we've got a lot of other stuff coming up here in the mountain city of Clayton as well. Got outdoor music, craft fairs. I see the garden synopsiums going on. So there's all kinds of things. And the spring community events continue expanding across the region. So the springtime in the county is starting to come fully awake. Y'all get out there, check it out. You know, gardening is serious business when you start arguing with a deer like their neighbors. And the old man once said, bears are just mountain teenagers with fur coats and bad judgment. Every Appalachian gardener learns that weeds always seem more motivated than the vegetables. I say I got that old poke out there in the garden. Seem to be. Listen, running down on time here is 6:48. Tonight's shout outs go, man, all you gardeners out there planting things a second time, I'm with you. Send me a message and let me know how your gardens are looking, and the hunters that are squeezing the last days out of turkey season, and the fishermen adjusting to changing weather, and the folks who keep working even when conditions aren't ideal. Yeah, I had a church, they said, hey, I made a contribution or whatever. And she says, well, you didn't tell me where you wanted this money to go. And I said, well, put it in the general budget. And she went down the list of things they got going on. And one of the programs they had was for their workers, buying them hats and long sleeve shirts when they're working the field out there. And I said, by golly, that's what I need to do. So the next time I gave them some money, I said, put it to that. I want to see them guys out there protected from the sun, and I want you to be protected from the sun. You know, you watch these old farmers, they have their bib coveralls on, and doggone if they got a poplin shirt, long sleeve. So let's take that into consideration. They're taking care of themselves. Why don't we take care of ourselves? And they always have a hat on of some sort. So anyway, go ahead and do that. And so we want, one of the things that I need to put into this thing is the community exchange. Like right now, I'm looking for some mulch hay. I need some more mulch hay. I've got 2 or 3 bales I stored under the deck out here, but I'd like to have 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 more to put in there so I can keep my beds mulched down. Every year I like to add mulch. This is my second year of no-till. I can't wait to see how it's going to turn out next year. And one thing, and a broad fork. I need a broad fork. Because you still got to aerate the soil. And I was out there with a shovel just tilling up almost that whole garden. I wasn't tilling and breaking it, but I was sticking the shovel in and breaking up the soil a little bit before I put the plants in. But if I had a broad fork, I tell you what, I'd be most grateful. I'm willing to buy it. I just need to find one. I could order one online. I reckon they're $100, $150. But anyway, somebody might have one they're not using anymore, and I'd much rather spend my money right here in the community instead of sending it off to some distant foreign land. And who knows who's making the thing? Might be a 12-year-old in India beating it swords into plowshares with his feet. Now, I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to find a broad fork and like to find it local. So if you got a broad fork, let me know. Along with the mulch hay. If you got mulch hay, let me know. And I'd like to have some manure. And I know I guess I could put it in the truck. I've done it before. Just put a tarp in the truck and load the truck up. If you've got some and you got a little old tractor you can load it with, let me know and I'll come with my pickup truck and get a load of that manure. I got tons of wood chips. I've been getting wood chips for several years now, and they normally send me 2 or 3 truckloads every year of wood chips. And if you let them sit long enough, they'll break down and make good soil, but you got to wait a while, 3-4 years. And I use it to control wash around the place and fill in some stuff. And I've got it in beds. I'll put a layer of it down and then mulch on top of it and straw on top of that. And then I always dig out where I'm going to put a plant in and mix in fresh topsoil. I buy it by the bag. I still buying it by the bag. Been doing it for 10 years now, and I hate it. But I moved in here, wasn't nothing but rocky red clay, and I've been developing it, so it takes a while. You know how it is. I'm not a farmer. I don't have a huge resource of organic material, so I'm always looking for that. So if there's something you need to get shed of, be it an old tractor, old plow, skid steer, or a farming implement, or hell, I don't care if you got chickens, you got goats, you got cows you'd like to trade off, or something else you need, we can trade. Hey, we'll make sure they're of equal value, and that way we don't have to worry about no tax consequences. But anyway, think about that when you're watching this. This is a place where we can come and exchange resources, and if you got gardening ideas, I want to hear from them. If you know what kind of soil we got around here, and you can offer up me some insight on how to have a better garden, I'm interested. Of course, it's always sun and soil and water, just like an engine. You got to have fire and fuel and air. Suck, bang, blow. That's what old boy told me. I just got to suck, bang, and blow. I said, all right then. But anyway, let's get some audience interaction. What are you fighting this spring? You fighting the dry soil? You fighting cold weather? What's going on? What's giving you trouble this spring? The deer, the weather, the weeds, the bears, bad soil, or just trying to keep up with everything? Because every season brings its challenges. Every mountain person learns how to work through them. And if we've got each other to encourage, exchange stuff, resources, ideas, that's what we're here for. We're looking for it. So let's join up. If you catch this, put it in your calendar to come by every Thursday evening at 6 o'clock till 7 o'clock. But let's close it this way tonight. Spring is beautiful, but spring is also work. Things fail. Some of your plants are going to die. Animals, always something getting into something else. The weather changes. Plans don't always cooperate. And still, we plan anyway. We work anyway. We rebuild anyway. We show up anyway. Because that's what people in these mountains have always done. And through it all, we remember why we gather. We're a community of like-minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, our culture, families, and environment. We come here to exchange ideas, resources, and information. And I want to thank each and every one of you, all one of you, for spending your evening with the Rabun County Rag. And if you catch this on a recast or a recording or whatever YouTube does with it, send me a message anyway. Tell me you caught it on the rebroadcast and tell me what your plans are for being here next week, or what you might have that you'd like to exchange, or anything like that. Just let me know. This is Bubba signing off from the mountains where the rhododendron is blooming and the bears are hard-headed and the gardeners keep planting anyway. And until we see each other again, as always, have a grateful day. Have a grateful week. And we'll see you next time at the Rabun County Rag.
Soft on the water, light through the gray. Mountains are whispering, don't drift away.